The silence lasted 3 seconds, but in show business, 3 seconds might as well be 3 hours. The Sands Hotel, Las Vegas. Rehearsal room, August 1962. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The Rat Pack was preparing for their opening night. 3 weeks of shows. Sold out. The biggest thing Vegas had seen in years. Frank was at the piano with the music director, going over arrangements. Sammy was on stage, running through a dance number. Dean was supposed to be watching, learning his cues. But Dean was somewhere else. Not physically. His body was there, leaning against the bar, glass in hand. But his mind was gone. The choreographer called out to him. "Dean, you come in after Sammy's spin. You remember the blocking?" Dean blinked, looked at the stage. "Yeah, after he does the thing. After Sammy spins." The choreographer corrected. "Right, after." Dean paused. His eyes went unfocused. "After the guy does the spin." The room went quiet. Frank looked up from the piano. Sammy stopped dancing. The choreographer frowned. "After Sammy spins," he repeated slowly. Dean stared at Sammy on the stage, no recognition in his eyes, like he was looking at a stranger. "Yeah," Dean said. "After. What's his name again?" The silence that followed was crushing. Sammy felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. Dean Martin. His friend, his brother. The man he'd performed with 100 times. The man who'd stood up for him, defended him, made him laugh when the world was crushing him. Had just forgotten his name. Frank stood up from the piano. "Dean, what the hell?" "What?" Dean looked around, confused. "What did I say?" "You just asked what Sammy's name was," Frank said slowly. "Sammy. Sammy Davis Jr. The guy you've been working with for 5 years. Dean looked at Sammy again. Something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. Then horror. "Sammy," he said. "Jesus Christ. Sammy. I'm sorry. I blanked. I don't know what happened." But Sammy could smell it from across the room. Bourbon. Heavy. Not the prop bottle Dean used on stage. Real bourbon. A lot of it. "It's fine," Sammy said quickly. Too quickly. "You're tired. We all are. Let's just keep going." "No, it's not fine," Frank said. "Dean, how much have you had to drink?" "I don't know. A couple." "A couple what? Bottles?" "Frank, lay off," Dean said, irritation creeping into his voice. "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You just forgot Sammy's name." "I said, I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix it," Frank snapped. "We open in 3 days." 3 days, Dean. "And you're so drunk, you can't remember your own partner's name." Dean's face hardened. "Don't talk to me like I'm a child, Francis." "Then don't act like one." The temperature in the room dropped. Dean set his glass down, walked toward the exit. "I need some air." "Dean," Sammy started. "I said I need some air," Dean repeated, not looking back. The door slammed. Frank turned to Sammy. "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." "Sam." "I said I'm fine, Frank." But he wasn't fine. Because this wasn't the first time. Last week, Dean had missed a rehearsal entirely. The week before, he'd shown up but couldn't remember any of the choreography they'd spent hours perfecting. Something was wrong. Something beyond the usual Dean Martin drunk act. That night, Sammy went to Dean's suite, knocked on the door. No answer. He knocked again. "Dean, it's me. Open up." Still nothing. Sammy tried the handle. Unlocked. He walked in. The suite was dark. Curtains drawn. The only light coming from the Las Vegas Strip outside, filtering through the gaps. Dean was sitting on the couch, bottle in hand. No glass this time, just drinking straight from the bottle. Go away, Smokey. No, Sammy said, closing the door behind him. I don't want company. Too bad. You got it anyway. Sammy sat down in the chair across from Dean. They sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, Dean spoke. I really did forget, you know. Your name. In that moment, I looked at you and I couldn't remember. I know. That's not normal, is it? No, Sammy said quietly. It's not. Dean took another drink. I'm losing it, Sam. My mind. My memory. Everything. You're not losing it. You're just drinking too much. It's not the drinking, Dean said. The drinking is what keeps me from losing it completely. Sammy leaned forward. What are you talking about? Dean was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that broke Sammy's heart. I don't know who I am anymore. What do you mean? I mean, Dean said slowly, that I've spent so long being Dean Martin that I've forgotten how to be Dino Crocetti. The drunk. The playboy. The guy who doesn't give a damn. That's not me, Sam. That's a character. But I've been playing it so long that the lines got blurred. He took another drink. And now, when I try to remember who I really am, there's nothing there. Just the performance. Just the act. Dean, you asked me what Sammy's name was. Dean interrupted. And for 3 seconds, I genuinely didn't know. Because in that moment, I wasn't in reality. I was in the act. And in the act, you're just the guy who dances. Frank is the boss. I'm the drunk. He looked at Sammy. We're not people anymore, Sam. We're characters. And I'm so deep in my character that I can't find my way out. Sammy didn't know what to say. Because Dean was right. They'd all become characters. Frank Sinatra, the chairman of the board. Untouchable. In control. Dean Martin, the drunk who didn't care about anything. Sammy Davis Jr., the talented Negro who worked twice as hard and smiled through everything. Characters, not people. What do we do? Sammy asked quietly. I don't know, Dean said. I honestly don't know. They sat there for hours, talking. Not about the show, not about the performance. About real things. Dean talked about his childhood in Steubenville, Ohio. About being so poor he had to drop out of school in 4th grade. About boxing for money. About working in illegal gambling houses. Sammy talked about being 3 years old and losing his mother. About living on the road his entire childhood. About never having a home. They talked about their fears. Dean was terrified of being forgotten. Of becoming irrelevant. Of waking up one day and realizing nobody needed him anymore. Sammy was terrified of never being good enough. Of working his entire life and still being seen as less than. They talked until the sun came up. And somewhere in those hours, something shifted. They stopped being Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. and became Dino and Sam. Just 2 men, scared, tired, trying to figure out how to survive in a world that wanted them to be anything but human. The next day at rehearsal, Dean walked in sober. Actually sober. Not pretending. Not performing. He walked up to Sammy. I owe you an apology. A real one. Not the one I gave yesterday. Dean, you don't have to. Yes, I do, Dean said. I forgot your name, Sam. I forgot the name of my friend. My brother. And that's unforgivable. He paused. But I want you to know why it happened. Not as an excuse. Just so you understand. Okay. I forgot your name because I'd forgotten mine, Dean said. I'd forgotten who I was outside of this act we do. And if I don't know who I am, how can I remember who anyone else is? He put his hand on Sammy's shoulder. Last night you reminded me. You sat with me. You listened. You didn't judge. You were there. And you helped me remember that underneath all the bullshit, I'm still Dino, and you're still Sam. Sammy's eye was wet. "You scared me, Dean." "I know. I scared myself." "Are you going to be okay?" Dean smiled sadly. "I don't know, but I'm going to try. And I'm going to start by actually remembering the people who matter to me. Starting with you." From that day forward, something changed. Dean stopped drinking during rehearsals. Stopped showing up impaired. Stopped hiding behind the character. He was still Dean Martin on stage. Still played the drunk. Still got the laughs. But off stage, he was Dino. A man. Flawed. Complicated. Real. And his relationship with Sammy deepened. They'd always been friends. But now they were brothers. Real brothers. Who'd seen each other at their lowest and chosen to stay anyway. Years later, in 1987, Dean's son died in a plane crash. Dean was destroyed. Stopped performing. Stopped leaving his house. Sammy called him every single day. Not to cheer him up. Not to give advice. Just to remind Dean that he wasn't alone. One day, about 6 months after the crash, Dean said something. "You remember that day in 62? When I forgot your name?" "Yeah," Sammy said quietly. "That was the day you saved my life," Dean said. "You didn't let me disappear into the character. You pulled me back, made me remember I was human." "I just sat with you, Dean." "Exactly," Dean said. "You sat with me when I was at my worst. And you didn't try to fix me. You just reminded me that I was worth sitting with." His voice broke. "I need that again, Sam. I need someone to sit with me, because I'm disappearing again, and I don't know how to come back." "I'm here," Sammy said. "I'm right here, and I'm not going anywhere." When Sammy died in 1990, Dean was too ill to attend the funeral, but he sent a letter. It was read aloud by Sammy's daughter. "Sam, you sat with me when I'd forgotten my own name. You reminded me I was human when I'd become nothing but a character. You saved me, and I never got to thank you properly. So I'm thanking you now. Thank you for seeing me. The real me. Not Dean Martin, but Dino, the scared kid from Ohio who didn't know who he was anymore. You showed me, and I will love you forever for that. Your brother, Dino." There wasn't a dry eye in the church. The story of that rehearsal in 1962 is not about forgetting a name. It's about what happens when the performance becomes the person. When you play a character so long you forget who you were before. Dean Martin forgot Sammy's name because he'd forgotten his own. But Sammy didn't judge him, didn't walk away. He sat with him, listened, reminded him that underneath the tuxedo and the glass and the lazy smile, there was still a human being. That's brotherhood. Not the performance of it. The reality. Somewhere in Las Vegas, in a rehearsal room that no longer exists, a man forgot his friend's name, and instead of ending the friendship, it deepened it, because they stopped performing for each other and started being real. That's the bond that lasts, not the one built on laughs and applause, the one built on sitting in the dark together and remembering you're human,